Welcome back to ZNGP today. In a Sunday defined by crashes and calamity, Marc Márquez turned the Sachsenring into his personal playground. As 18 riders took the start of the 2025 German Grand Prix, only 10 saw the checkered flag. But Marquez, undaunted by wet patches, tailwinds, and a track littered with tire marks, rode a flawless race from pole to podium, extending his championship lead to 83 points. Against all odds, Gresini Ducati's Alex Marquez turned what could have been a cautionary survival ride into an unlikely runner-up finish at the crash-strewn German MotoGP. Riding with a freshly repaired left hand, he watched rivals tumble, stayed upright, and crossed the line second, 0.7s ahead of Francesco Bagnaia. Here's what he only half admitted off-air. Bagnaia salvaged a podium from chaos in Germany, charging from P10 on the grid to claim third at the crash-strewn Sachsenring. Yet the Italian insists that while luck played its part, he remains 2 or 3 steps shy of his peak, and must keep pushing before the title fight slips further away. Sunday's German Grand Prix at the Sachsenring was a spectacle of attrition. Only 10 of the 18 starters reached the checkered flag, as 8 riders succumbed to crashes in treacherous conditions. From a tailwind-hit turn 1 to green, low-grip asphalt, the Sachsenring chewed up competitors, but for those who survived, it became a weekend-defining test of concentration and tire management. Don't forget to click subscribe button and the bell icon for MotoGP news update. With rain-softened asphalt and residual water from Saturday's wet sprint, Sachsenring's tight corners became treacherous. Marquez pinpointed turn 1, where a lingering tailwind was pushing bikes wide, even before riders braked. At turn 1 I understood that there was, not a lot, but there was tailwind. So you cannot brake at the same place. The directions of the bike are different. Marc Márquez's statement. That subtle shift in aerodynamics can unbalance a rider by fractions of a second, enough to spin out or high side. For Marquez, the discovery was critical in setting a safer reference for each subsequent lap. Riders who pushed too hard in the early laps left telltale rubber streaks, gravel dives, and scuffed curbs in their wake. Instead of rushing past, Marquez used them as signposts, adjusting braking points and lines instantly. I saw the marks on the next lap. Those crashes gave me extra concentration. Where others saw wreckage, Marquez saw warnings, a living telemetry of mistakes, guiding him away from the same fate and toward a nearly faultless run. With the second GP win of the weekend secured, Marquez celebrated not only his 69th Premier Class victory, but also the fact that Sachsenring's slippery conditions are tailor-made for his style. It was my biggest advantage of the year. The track was slippery, which are my conditions. A rider who thrives on sliding the rear tire and managing grip transitions, Marquez turned a potential weakness, moisture-laden tarmac, into his greatest asset. Victory number 69 also marked Marquez's 200th MotoGP start, a milestone few achieve. In a career spanning rookie highs and injury lows, he chose Sachsenring's chaos to celebrate, showcasing both experience and fearlessness. It is super nice to arrive to 200th Grand Prix with a victory. 200 starts, countless memories, but few as commanding as a race where mistakes stalked every corner, and only Marquez emerged unscathed. By mid-race, Marquez had opened a cushion nearing 7 seconds, his largest margin of 2025. While rivals fought for survival, he maintained a controlled rhythm, free from panic or undisciplined aggression. It wasn't just pace that won the day, but composure, understanding when to push, when to warn off, and when to simply ride away. In a Grand Prix that will be remembered for its high attrition, Marc Márquez rode with the precision of a surgeon and the instincts of a veteran. He turned the Sachsenring's hazards into guideposts and sealed his weekend double with authority. As the championship heads toward Brno and the summer break, Marquez's Sachsenring masterclass stands as a reminder. When chaos reigns, the greatest talents find clarity. After shattering his second metacarpal at Assen, Alex returned to the Sachsenring knowing every left turn would bite into his healing hand. Yet he quit that the pain threshold kept him from over-pushing and crashing. "I think the injury helped me to not crash, honestly," Alex Márquez's statement. By dialing back his aggression, Alex avoided the fate that claimed 8 riders. What began as a physical handicap became his greatest safety net. Settling into P4 on lap 1, Marquez found grip scarce and stiffness constant. His own bike felt more like a taxi than a race machine, so he leaned on racercraft and luck. "I didn't have the bike grip to turn. I was like a passenger. Another left turn, okay." Against the relentless left-handers of Sachsenring, Alex simply survived, turning corners only when absolutely necessary. Fabio Di Gianantonio's high-speed turn 1 tumble was followed by Marco Bezzecchi's low side, opening the door for Marquez's unexpected P2. He fended off Bagnaia in a final lap duel to cement the spot. "We were lucky. 2 riders in front crashed. I think we were P4, maybe fighting for the podium with Bez." When chaos reigned, Alex's caution turned opportunistic, proof that fortune favors the prepared, even when preparation means riding within your limits. Though he surrendered 21 points to brother Marc, Alex extended his cushion over Bagnaia to 64 with Brno looming. The weekend strategy, survive and score, paid dividends. Important points for the championship. I came here to not lose a lot of points to Pecco and Marc. In a title fight with a wounded contender, every point counts, and Alex's Sachsenring plan was to walk away with as many as possible. With just 3 days before the Czech GP, Alex is already eyeing relief. Brno's right-hand corners should ease his injured hand, though rapid direction changes may still sting. Hopefully at Brno it will be better with more right corners. But with the change of directions, maybe I will suffer. Brno is both sanctuary and test, more forgiving for his hand, yet no less demanding on rider finesse. Alex Márquez's Sachsenring story wasn't about speed, it was about survival. Stiff, cautious, and riding with one hand, he turned injury into insurance, capitalized on his rival's misfortune, and left Germany with a podium that none saw coming. As the paddock heads to Brno, his message is clear: sometimes, champion-caliber results come not from raw pace, but from knowing when not to push. After a forgettable P12 in Saturday's wet sprint, Bagnaia lined up only 10th for the main 30-lap race. But a blistering launch catapulted him into the podium mix within the first corners. Starting from P10, you never know what can happen. The pace to fight for the podium was there. Pecco Bagnaia's statement. That lightning getaway set the stage, but Bagnaia knew raw pace alone wouldn't secure a top 3 finish on a track littered with hazards. Sachsenring's tricky mix of leftover rubber, wind gusts, and rain-soaked patches claimed half the field. While others crashed, Bagnaia bided his time. Many riders made mistakes because it wasn't easy. To finish the race today was important. In a weekend defined by attrition, survival became the shortcut to the podium, proof that sometimes consistency outshines outright speed. Excluding Marc Márquez's emphatic win, Bagnaia's pace closely mirrored that of Alex Márquez, trading laps in the mid-122 range before a late surge lifted him ahead of Bezzecchi and Di Gianantonio. Apart from Marc, Alex and I were very similar in terms of pace and driving sensations. While Marc remains in a league of his own, Bagnaia sees a rising standard across the grid, a clear sign he must sharpen to stay in contention. Despite the podium, Bagnaia was the first to highlight the work that lies ahead. Data-driven progress, extra laps, and targeted setup changes are on his agenda. We need to take 2 or 3 steps forward, giving data to the team, doing more laps. We will certainly find the way first. It's a roadmap born from humility. Admit the gap, then methodically close it, corner by corner, 10th by 10th. His Ducati's front end felt not very stable amid the frantic podium battle. And yet, Bagnaia lauded Alex's own Sachsenring heroics, squeezing a P2 from an injured hand. Alex is doing a fantastic job. Managing 30 laps on this track all on the left is not easy. With team morale buoyed by dual Marquez family successes, Bagnaia sees unity as Ducati's secret weapon, even as he chases personal refinement. A lucky P3 may have padded Pecco Bagnaia's weekend resume, but he knows luck alone won't dethrone his teammate or the championship leader. As the season heads to Brno, the message is clear: Bagnaia must transform opportunism into pace, take those 2 or 3 steps forward, and prove his Sachsenring podium was no fluke, but a sign of Rio resurgence. 3 riders fell at turn 1 on a single lap, a crest-induced frontlock followed by a downhill apex catch-out. With fresh rain washing rubber off the racing line, the approach that worked Saturday was now a near impossible gamble. It was obviously the tire temperature creeping up, the front was easy to lock. And all the rain meant that the grip was low and the track was green. Michael Laverty's statement. A corner that demands scrubbing off speed, turn 1 turned into a high-speed trap, punishing anyone edging too close to the limit. Fabio Di Giannantonio and Marco Bezzecchi looked poised to join Marc Márquez on the podium, only to crash out in identical fashion. Both had matched Marquez's pace, but that extra 1 km/h on cold asphalt spelled disaster. Di Gia and Bezzecchi were maybe having to ride over the limit to match Marc. Then when you get the lock, there is no ability to respond. Their tandem tumble underscored the fine line between challenge and calamity at a circuit where braking modulation is everything. Friday's wet sprint left the racing line washed clean, turning the once sticky rubber into a slick, algae-like surface. Even with correct tire selection, hard front, medium rear, teams knew the compromise: longevity over immediate bite. The engineers said it wasn't hot enough for the hard front and medium rear, but they knew they were the tires to choose to go 30 laps around here. It was a weekend where track evolution was outpaced by changing weather, forcing riders to find grip where none seemed to exist. The Sachsenring's labyrinth of left-handers, short straights, and elevation changes makes it a rider's circuit and a tire's nemesis. At gusting winds and a green surface, and even the smallest misstep became punitive. It's a unique track. It's up to the riders to manage it. I do think it is circumstantial, the overnight rain more than the bike outgrowing the track. The quirks that make Sachsenring a fan favorite also magnify every variable, tire, wind, temperature, into a potential turning point. In an era when MotoGP often sees 15-plus finishers, Germany's 10-rider attrition harked back to the roughest races of the past. Yet those who stayed upright rode their own race, measured, cautious, and painfully aware of every skid mark. When the field splintered, survival became its own reward, and the podium was claimed not just by pace, but by precision under pressure. The 2025 German GP was a reminder that MotoGP is more than raw speed, it's the ultimate test of control, especially when the circuit throws every challenge it can muster. As the championship heads to Brno, riders will carry Sachsenring's lessons, brake with care, read the track's scars, and know that sometimes, the wisest move is to simply stay on 2 wheels. Thanks for watching ZNGP today, and this is your MotoGP news update. And see you next time!